When I first heard about this story, I saw the video on Facebook, and I was extremely enraged over what I saw. And this is one of those times where you'd hope, and keep in mind, I don't wish bad upon no one. At least I try not to wish harm upon no one, but there are times that people make it very difficult for you not to wish harm upon them, especially when it comes to young black males. Because we've heard of so many young black males being snuffed away from this earth by police and at the hands of each other. There is so much hate among the black community towards the black community. But this is one of those times you wish that the police, or maybe some other white supremacist, George Zimmerman, would take these young males out. And I know that there's people that's not going to like what I say, especially a lot of so-called black males, because you have so many older black males that feel with so much hate that they would applaud something like this. They would take the mindset that, what did she do to bring that upon herself? Now, there's a rabbit hole that many of us have gone down, and we're in a rabbit hole and don't realize that we're in a rabbit hole. And there's so many directions in that rabbit hole, and each direction leads to nowhere. It doesn't free you from that rabbit hole. You're stuck in a maze, a rabbit hole maze that leads to destruction, your own self-destruction. So when I first saw this video, I was extremely upset. And of course, in my heart, I wished harm upon these young men. But then after sitting back thinking about history, there used to be a time where even young black men or young boys would have the mindset to protect the women of their communities. See, it's interesting when we see young black males run to the defense of young white girls, the damsel in distress that many of us used to talk about in time past. But there was a time where young black men would protect women. Not saying that they would protect these females in their wrong, because there are cases where black females are the cause of their own demise or their own judgment. I'm not speaking about those. I'm speaking about young women like the one that we see in this image that's covered up on the ground, and you have 5 black males, possibly more, brutally attacked and robbed her. Now, all 5 of them have been charged with robbery and gang assault. And this took place in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. But it's interesting that these young boys are having pleasure doing this to a girl. How do we get to this point to where young black males now look at girls as they look at themselves? Why do they look at young black girls as a threat to them? We always talk about how young black males are effeminate and how they are emasculated. Well, this is the result of emasculating black men. This is the result of promoting the LGBTQ community and making young black men feel like they are toxic just to be men. So when you start praising young black men that become females, or that's gay or transgender, well, you have other young black males that want that attention too. They want that praise. They're young. They have a young mind. Of course, they want that praise. Even adults want praise for the good things that they do. In this day and time, you get praise for doing evil and for doing wickedness. But the rabbit hole I spoke on, and I'm only going to speak about 2 of the rabbit holes, just 2, and maybe 3. But one of the rabbit holes is where now we see a lot of black females, even white females, that's going to the gym. And they're just not doing aerobics and trying to keep in shape. These females are buffing up. You now have females that are combat soldiers now in the military. You have black females that's in boxing or MMA, combat sports. Females that have become gladiators. So now you have many females with the mindset, the mentality that they can take on men. And because of the feminist agenda, and now men are afraid, there's men now that take abuse from women. They're strong, they can handle these women, but because of today's society, you have so many males now that's physically and verbally and psychologically abused by females. I just not too long ago watched a video with this older black female. She like just had her fist up like she was a boxer, and this man, she caught him off guard. Now it looks like he was drunk. She didn't knock him out, although some people online says that he was knocked out. He wasn't knocked out. He was caught off guard, and she staggered him. And she had her fist up like she was inviting him to a fight. This is the mindset that many females have. So when you have these girls now challenging these boys, and the message that many of these black females, these older black females, are sending out is that you are just as strong as a man. You can handle a man. You can defeat a man. And because of today's society, and men have been emasculated, men have been made to feel bad about being a masculine man, because now they're labeled as toxic. You have men now that just sit back and take abuse. I know of this one situation with this young man, very nice dude, working, had his own crib and everything, doing well for himself, his own car. He met this female, and she abused him. He allowed her to move in, and brothers, that's a big mistake. You don't do that. You never move a female into your home. Just like a lot of women should not move these dudes into their home. But she had lost her apartment. He decided to help her out, move her in to his apartment. She wasn't paying rent. She crashed his vehicle twice. He paid for it. She contributed nothing, still driving his vehicle. He was a fool. He was a fool for love. And he's thinking because this girl had personal issues, he wanted to help her. His motive and intention was to help her. And her motive and intention was to destroy him. She smashed his big screen television. She messed his house up, almost got him kicked out of his apartment. She spit on him. All type of nasty stuff she did to him. And he not one time hit her back. The minute he pushed her one time, then she says, I'm taking my name off the lease. And then one time she talked him out of the vehicle, man, out in public. and there were two cops that were walking down the street and saw this girl attacking him. They're telling him, they got their hands, a taser in hand, and telling him, don't hit her. But yet they did nothing when this female was attacking him. But the mistake he made was when they asked him, do you want her arrested? He said no, still trying to help her out. So this situation where you have dudes, man, and this female is much smaller than him. She's a little skinny thing. But he not one time put his hands on her. He only tried to help her. And yet out of jealousy or envy, she destroyed what he had. So this case is where men are always being attacked and abused by females and their hands are tied. But then you have these dudes that get tired of that. And they decide not to tolerate that anymore. There was a time, and this is delving into the other angle of the rabbit hole, where there was a time coming up where you had a lot of females base their relationships off on what their moms had to say about men. Not so much as the men that she had to deal with in life, but men, period. So the mom always taught the young girls, and of course the girls are going to listen to their moms. She's teaching the daughters that men are no good. That men are no good, they're going to use you, they're going to abuse you. And she's basing this on her experience, the choices she chose of men. So now you got a lot of young girls growing up, getting into relationships. Their relationships are now unstable because they're carrying their mother's baggage into their own relationship. Instead of experiencing their own experiences, they're now experiencing their mother's experience. Not really understanding or feeling what their moms had to deal with. But because that's mom, and mom told them that don't trust no man, they come into the relationship half-assed. So this dude is doing everything he can to please this woman, and she's not trusting him. She's not giving her full trust to him because of her mom's experience. Well, in today's time, the roles have reversed. So now you have a lot of men that's feeding these young boys' minds, young boys that's not even their sons, because of course many men, many black males don't support their children. For whatever reason, it could be the fault of that female that they're not in their child's life. But at the end result, they're not. The child is growing up fatherless. The son and the daughter is growing up fatherless, but yet you have a lot of so-called conscious black males that's feeding the minds of a lot of young black men that these females are hoes and sluts. They putting it in music. Just listen to the so-called rap music. Conditioning and programming the minds of these young boys. So now what women used to do, bitter black women used to do with their young girls, now you have these dudes, these older males doing the same thing to the minds of the young boys. Don't trust these hoes. These hoes are not loyal, right? And they use other choice words. So now with a combination of what these black males are feeding the minds of these young black boys and what they see on the internet versus these females that now think they're men and they can challenge men. So now you have these young men growing up that have no type of respect, primarily for black females. So they see this young 15-year-old girl walking down the street, and for whatever reason they targeted her, they attacked her. And you see they're taking turns stomping her. And from an article I read, they took her cell phone and they took her credit card. But they've been charged. So what can we do to change the mindset, this toxic mindset of the younger generation that's coming up. They went from killing each other to attacking young girls, 15 years of age. But then you have a lot of young girls, and although this is a victim, and this is not blaming the victim, but you have a lot of young girls, man, around this age that would get in a dude's face. I shared a story at one time. I was in my store, and this black female was in there, and she was looking at some books I was selling, Triple Crown books. And she was not minding her son. Her son was all over the store. And you know, when you have shelves in there with corners and sharp edges and just things that kids should not, you know, be around. And I was pretty strict because under a certain age, I didn't allow in the store unless they were with their parents. Because there's a lot of unmanned children out there that will go up in these stores and create havoc, stealing or giving the store clerk a hard time. So this little boy was just walking around getting into everything, knocking stuff over. I'm like, don't do that, don't do that. Constantly telling this young boy, don't do that, don't do that. Hoping that his moms will hear me and get her son. Well, instead of this female telling her son to come over and stand by her, don't touch nothing, I said, don't do that, young man. I don't want you to hurt yourself, man. Something to fall on you. You might fall and hurt yourself. The female responds and says to her son, and speaking at me indirectly, she says to her son, yeah, get over here before I slap that man in his mouth. Now, I'm a pretty big guy. You know, I work out. Muscles all over the place. And she's telling her little son that to get over there before she slapped that man in his mouth. And I said, I don't think so. And the other women in the store, they looked like, oh, because they were shocked that she said that. So you have females out there that have that mindset, and I guess they're so used to being able to get away with abusing dudes that they feel they can just get up in any man's face, not realizing that's still a man. And unfortunately, many men are now like the lions are. That's in the zoo. You know, you have the king of the jungle walking around in a zoo, caged up. And then you have this stupid civilian that crawls over into the lion cage. The lion mauls and devours the person, and now the lion is put down for the stupidity of a human being that had no business being in that lion den in the first place. Well, that's how it is with men. You have so many men that's being attacked and abused by these females, and the system protects them. The young man is always told, you don't put your hands on a woman regardless of what she do to you. So she can spit in your face, and we're told that we're supposed to restrain them. Oh, just grab their arm and hold them and restrain them. But yet you holding both this female's arm, she can hawk and spit right in your face while you're holding her hands. And she's clawing and scratching you up, and you trying to keep her from harming you, and then you're trying to maintain self-control from harming her. Because now if you hit her, everything she did to you is now gone unpunished, but yet you, because you pushed her or slapped her, now you have to deal with domestic violence or dispute charges. So now you have so many dudes, and it's going to get worse. Unless the black community, both man and woman, come together and put this to a halt, it's going to only get worse. And stop allowing the government, the system, to manipulate your mind. The government has infiltrated the black community once again. Before it was drugs, and now it's these men, it's okay for them to be females, and it's okay for the females to be male. And if you don't refer to this boy as a her or she, you know, and vice versa, then yet you're now brought up on hate crime. But yet we feed into that and think it's okay. At the same time, not realizing that we're dying. A dying race, population reduction. And I spoke on population reduction in the past. So as long as we continue to allow ourselves to be dictated by the government, by these corrupt laws, and yet throw out the laws of Yah, we threw the laws of God out the window. Don't want to believe that. I don't believe that. That's a fairy tale book. But it was able to keep your ancestors. But you threw that book away, and now look at the condition of your community now. Look at the condition of the minds of your young black males. This is not just one or two. This is 5 or even more, because they're looking for more suspects. This is what they do, and they're watching these video games, and the first thought came to my mind when I saw this young man jump in the air like that, storming her, is finish her. That's their mindset. Finish her. There are so many black males, older black males, that have so much hatred for black women that if I make videos constantly attacking black women or dogging black women, I get so many thumbs up, comments, support. The channel grows, and that's evident of my Fearless 2005 channel. Before I deleted that channel, I had so much support, thousands of subscribers, thousands of views. The minute I stopped talking about black women, the viewership started dwindling. And now if you look at the average channel that's got a lot of subscribers on it, and that's why you don't hear me talk about subscribers. It's because it's drama. The minute you click on, you hear somebody yelling and cursing at somebody. Black male against black female. Or you got two guys going at it. Or you have a fight video between two females that happens to be black. Those are the videos that YouTube allowed to stay on the channel and become popular. This video won't get many views. It won't get many views. See, it's easy for y'all, especially y'all church folk. You so-called church folk out there would attack me because I spoke out against your preacher, Jamal Bryant, and you're going to tell me how I'm going to hell, but yet you sit silent when things like this happen. It's easy to post a comment on Facebook saying, oh, that's too bad, these young men, these kids are terrible, but you do nothing about it. Nothing at all. As a matter of fact, you will support these young men if these same young males get slaughtered or slain by police. Now you against the police. He's a white racist. This is what you support. So both the black male and female have to put aside any differences, man. Stop allowing the government and society to dictate to the black community how you should be. They now tell you that you were born that way. And you know better than that. So I'm going to end this because there's more to the rabbit hole. Because there's too many, it's a maze. It's a big maze that go to nowhere. It's like the song, Headed for Self-Destruction. There was truth in that. And this article, this image right here is evident of self-destruction. And you notice, there's people walking around. They walk past that. They see that. And no one came to that young girl's age. Come to her aid. And I'm sure there were some black females standing around watching it. They saw it and did nothing to come to that young girl's aid. See, it's easy to talk about people like Harriet Tubman and all the other heroes in the past that will walk in the midst of that and pull that young girl out. It's easy to talk about what you read in a book and what history, and we were great at one time. Where is your greatness now? Why do we see these people walking around allowing this to happen, going on about their business, not getting involved, allowing these 5 boys to stomp this girl down and rob her? But I guarantee you, when it came out in the media, they were some of the first ones to say, I saw it. Or better yet, you had your phone up, video recording it so that you can be the first to put it on Facebook Live or on the internet to get views. So you really don't care. So feedback, tell me what you think, subscribe. Until next time, it's tight but it's right.